Welcome to Gold Star Classroom, the podcast where our panelists go back to school. We'll grade them on their answers to a variety of general knowledge and trivia questions. They don't know what we're going to ask, and we don't know what they're going to say. The student with the highest grade at the end of the class will win the coveted classroom prize, the Golden Banana. I'm your host and headmaster, Professor Jerry Jaffe. Welcome to today's episode of Gold Star Classroom. I'm your host and professor, Dr. Jerry Jaffe, and it's my pleasure to welcome today's students. On my right is a comedian and writer, Sean Lynch.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming along, Sean. And on my left is actor and comedian, Mark Riccadonna.
That's me. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. And we have one more student today. Sitting directly across the table from me is Assistant Professor of Biology at Lake Erie College, Dr. Deborah Shulman.
It's good to be had.
I'm glad to provide an opportunity for such experiences for you.
She's the smart one of the group. Me and
Well-
Sean are screwed.
No, well, fortunately for you and Sean, you have a very good teacher. And your teacher is going to help elevate everyone in the classroom.
Nice.
And I'm going to do
Bananas
this.
for all.
I am
Nice.
going to do this by asking you a series of challenging questions across the vast expanse of human knowledge, and as any teacher would, grading your answers.
I'm already nervous.
Oh, just
didn't
relax.
study.
Anxiety
Just
is going to
relax.
hit. As soon as now people are going to know how dumb I am.
That's been an open secret for years. Don't worry.
Yeah, but they never had proof.
Well,
Your
at the end of
audio
this class,
comeuppance.
I will calculate the final grades, and the student with the highest grade will receive the coveted classroom prize, the Golden Banana.
Nice.
All right. So, are you ready, students?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Sometimes we will hear these words used, sometimes pejoratively, sometimes with pride. People who love knowledge, trivia, information, being called geeks and nerds. But do you, in fact, know what the words geek and nerd mean or where they come from?
Ooh, I actually.
Yes.
We have one vote for yes and one vote for actually. Do you want to start with geek or nerd? Mark?
I'll go with nerd.
Okay. Where do you think the word nerd comes from or what it means?
I was on the internet and I posted it and I wrote, "Here's where your nicknames come from, nerds," and it was a whole thing. And now I got a.
It's in there
You
somewhere.
invented it yourself? You think you posted it on Facebook and you're the source?
I'm now the official. No,
Did you cite your sources in that essay?
it was on some website from a British guy. I
He
know
is
everything
stalling for
other
time.
than.
You do not have an
How
answer.
about Sean?
Yeah.
Starting with nerd, where do you think the word nerd comes from?
I do believe I know the origin of geek.
All right, well, we're going to pick one and go with it. We started with nerd. We'll get to geek in a moment.
Okay.
Where does the word nerd come from? What does it mean? Dr. Shulman.
Dr. Seuss coined it.
The first known use of the word nerd is Dr. Seuss, 1950, the book If I Ran the Zoo.
Well
Has the
done.
word nerd in it.
Well done, nerd.
Here's the cheating bit. I have twin 3-year-olds.
So you have recently
did-
read that
You're
book.
not a
I
nerd. You
recently
cheated.
studied of the Seussian arts.
Yes. Now, it should be noted that when Dr. Seuss used that word, it was one of his many sort of nonsense words that he often invents. So it didn't particularly mean its current thing. It sort of had to grow into that meaning.
What did it mean? in
And
the
now
book?
being a nerd is the world's coolest possible thing to be.
Well,
Depending on what
Talking
cool
about
means.
that, yeah.
the book If I Ran the Zoo has a line in it which says, a nurgle, a nerd, and a seersucker too. So it was just a list of like weird things as you often get in Dr. Seuss stories.
Do you know if the Nook is named for the Nook cookbook line from whatever book that's in?
I do not know that, however, I'll be glad to look it up for the next
I
classroom.
need to know.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks for bringing that up.
sure thing.
That is the first cited use of the word nerd.
I win.
When and
Golden banana.
how?
I'm out.
How did it come to 10 points for you?
Okay.
When and how did it come to be associated with smart,
Ogre
awkward,
from
nerdy
Revenge
people?
of the Nerds.
Carl Sagan did it.
Carl
Really? I'm going to go. I was going to go with
I made that up.
Henry Winkler.
I
on
like
Happy
that, though.
Days, calling Potsy in there.
10 points to Sean.
Really?
In that, Happy Days' use of the word nerd is what popularized it.
Oh,
Although that was still not the origin, but the use of it in Happy Days is what like foisted it into full-on popular culture usage.
Arthur
I
Franzarelli.
can't believe I actually had something useful.
So
in that.
see, I told you were smarter than they thought you were.
You see that, Ma? I didn't waste my life.
Watching Happy Days.
Yeah, this is your big moment.
My answer was from a movie called Revenge of the Nerds 2. They didn't use it in the first one.
So somewhere between 1950 and the 1970s, however, the use of the word nerd as some slang / pejorative gets introduced into usage. So where's the bridge? What are the steps there?
It's not Shakespeare.
It's not Shakespeare.
No, but he did invent the word turd. That was my favorite moment in acting school when I found out Shakespeare made the word.
Now listen, you guys can't give me more homework
We
than
are
I'm
not.
giving
Yeah,
you.
we're not supposed to distract.
You've already
I'm
brought up two
trying to
things I have
not
to
get
look
to the
up.
next question.
Sean wants
So
to get
just-
to the next question.
just
He's
tell
ready for the
us,
next question.
Just tell us,
chomping at the old
please,
bit.
who
The-
popularized
there
nerd?
are, well, Happy Days popularized
Oh, all
it.
right. Who
But the
bridged?
usage of it is a little bit apocryphal, as in there's no, between Dr. Seuss and Happy Days, the word just starts getting used here and used there, and exactly who or what, we're not sure.
Kind of like Jesus.
The most, it is kind of like Jesus because
We
the
knew
most,
he was born, we knew he died. Nothing
I'm never
in
going to
between.
find out the answer.
the
I'm
most
trying
common,
so hard to get it so we don't get to
the most
answer.
common guesstimate is that the word nerd, if you were to spell it with a K, is the word drunk backwards. And
What?
science students,
No, it isn't.
K-N-U-R-D.
Except nerd is spelled with an E. I've got a bit of a spelling problem there.
The word nerd with a U was used interchangeably with nerd with an E
Well,
during
then
this period of time
I
of the 50s and 60s.
withdraw my objection.
But you are correct. By the time we get to Happy Days, it has been regularized to N-E-R-D as the preferred spelling.
So it's misspelled.
It has multiple spellings, just like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Drunk backwards.
Turd, nerd.
I love the idea that in a dictionary it says that nerd, one who sits on it.
And so, see, Patsy.
Yes, see, It's just a picture of Patsy.
So it was used to describe students who studied rather than got drunk on the weekends, or who studied rather than going out drinking.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
I did
also
both.
my opening
Yes,
line.
that's the
in,
mistake, is ruling
The
one out
Devil's-
over the other.
Yeah. Gotta have balance.
What up, nerds? What are you guys doing? Some nerd shit?
Now, having gotten a little bit of insight into what nerds are, where they come from, and whether or not we may or may not be nerds, how about geeks?
Geeks, I do believe that the term geek, it was originally like a sideshow performer that would eat strange things, like bite the heads off of chickens or something like that. Like a traveling sideshow geek.
Before I affirm or deny that, would Deborah or Mark like to add something or contradict or have other theories?
I'm fairly certain that's where the
That
where
sounds-
the term comes from, but that doesn't answer where the word comes
Well,
from.
in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Socrates calls those guys geeks at the mall.
So
So
it's
it comes
from
from back
Socrates.
then. Yeah, it
Clearly.
must be.
Well, I will say, unlike nerd,
You really have your movies memorized.
the word,
You have no idea.
Oh, my.
try spending 8 hours in a car with him.
I'll be Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, page 17, third line down.
For goodness sakes.
Unlike the word nerd, the word geek does have an actual heritage and origin going back hundreds and hundreds
Greek.
of years. It goes back to, I jotted this down in my notes, Old English dialect from Middle Low German. So it doesn't actually go back all the way to
Well,
Greek
yeah,
or
that's what I was
Latin.
going to say. You didn't give me a chance.
There's in the English dialect, there's the word geek or geck,
Yeah.
and in the Middle Low German is the word geck, which
Just a
basically
Spanish guy saying it.
geck
Geek.
basically means fool or foolish person.
All right, how did this get applied to the chicken biter people?
It is correct that by the 19th century, traveling circuses that had freak shows, within the freak show there was a subcategory of the geek show. And geek show, usually the opening act of the freak show, and the geek show most famously would be somebody biting the head off a chicken.
And then getting wedgies.
Nobody wedgies a man who bites the head off a chicken.
Ozzy Osbourne's a geek.
And,
Most
and
people can't even
knowing
make eye
that
contact
makes you
if
really
somebody bites the
disappointed
head
when you
off.
call the Geek Squad and they come to your house, and that is not what they do.
And all they do is fiddle with
They
your
fix your
computer.
computer. Like, what the heck are you
They
doing?
show up, you just got a
Could you
chicken,
leave-
you're like,
Could you leave my computer alone and get out your chicken?
I paid to see chicken eating.
Now,
If I wanted my computer fixed, I would have called the Nerd Herd.
in the 20th century, how does the word geek go from an old traditional meaning of fool to a 19th century meaning of a freak show performer, a particular type of freak show performer, not all freak show performers, to geeks and nerds? Where's the transition there?
There's the show Freaks and Geeks.
It's before that.
Gotta be.
I will give you a clue. There's actually an idiom. Has anyone ever heard the expression pencil-necked geek?
yes. That was a song by, wasn't it Jerry Blassie? Pencil neck geek, skinny freak, scum sucking BF with a lousy physique. Yeah, I remember the lyrics. Again, another useless.
I do not know that song.
What were you going to say?
I thought it was from Happy Days. I was seriously going to say that again.
Pencil neck geeks.
Pencil neck
No, maybe not.
It was a novelty song
Well,
in like the late 60s, early 70s.
I can't confirm or deny if it was ever used in Happy Days. I'm surprised Mark can't either. And I can't confirm or deny the existence of your song. But the person who first used the phrase pencil neck geek was professional wrestler Freddie Blassie.
Classy Blassie!
Yes.
Oh, he also did that great Breakfast with Blassie with Andy Kaufman.
What was the context? Who was he talking to, and what?
That's
did
one
they-
of the things he
why
would just say to
did-
threaten people. Like, you pencil neck geek.
But so they weren't. They were like big, giant, beefy.
Yeah, but he was also
Okay.
a humongous man, so he was showing that he wasn't intimidated. You know, smack talk.
We
Talk him
watched,
down.
I get the pencil neck part.
we watched Jerry's dad body slam Bobo or whatever his name was.
Correct. Yes,
we
you
watched
did.
that today.
It was kind of awesome.
Like, that's your
You
dad,
can't
dude.
mean Bobo the monkey.
Bobo Brazil.
Bobo
That
Rizzo.
was his angle. You wouldn't fight humans.
Bobo
You would only
monkey.
fight. You would only fight animals.
Monkeys and clowns. What? As I attempt to educate my students, it has been suggested to me that I use too much constructive criticism and not enough praise. So I've generated a list of random praise, and I'm now about to use it on you guys.
Randomly?
Now you're flying. Now,
What's the score? Hey, wait a
Thank you.
minute.
It's
I'm
so-
very, very score driven.
yes.
My grades are important to me
So
as a
it-
geek and a nerd.
As a professor of geekdom, nerdiness, and all trivia and knowledge, I am carefully calculating your grades, and as I review my abacus, your grades are currently 5, 6, and 7.
Who has which?
Well,
Okay.
I'm going to leave that as a mystery for later.
Okay.
As my hero Oscar Wilde once said, you can never be overdressed or overeducated. And Mark Riccadonna proves that.
That's right.
Okay.
Speaking of trivia, there is, in fact, a game dedicated to trivia. You've perhaps heard of it. It's called Trivia Pursuit.
Oh, I thought you were going to say chess.
Now, that's a game dedicated to geeks and nerds. Trivia Pursuit, when it first came out over 25 years ago, one of the famous, almost famous subcultures is that some of the answers are wrong.
Really?
Oh, yes.
They didn't have a researcher.
That's not good.
There could be all kinds of problems, from typos to outdated information to just things being plainly wrong. And if one is interested in such things, there's like an example of this, which is like all over the internet in trivia circles. It's the one example of a blatantly wrong question in the original Trivial Pursuit. I'm now going to ask you this question, and then we'll talk about the right and wrong answers.
But what if the only education we have is in fact from Trivial Pursuit? Do
Then-
we get special consideration for having memorized the question incorrectly?
You will get special consideration in the form of negative points.
Oh, boy. I went to college. I was just kidding.
The question for you,
I played Trivial Pursuit once, so
he didn't win, but he did play it once.
I didn't even get a piece of the pie.
The question in question is this. What, according to Trivial Pursuit, is the only man-made object visible from space?
B.B. Rabosi.
The pyramids.
I'm pretty sure that
Great
the
Wall of
answer is
China.
the Great Wall of China.
That's the
Unless
real
I
answer.
learned that's the real answer.
Of those three answers, Dr. Shulman gets 10 points for that being the answer on the Trivial Pursuit card.
Oh, crap.
However, it is not the correct answer.
Well, that invaded my brain then, because I thought that was true.
It is like an urban legend that you can see the Great Wall of China from space.
Well, I've never been to space.
Indeed. However, shall I tell you what somebody who's been to space has said?
So what?
The ocean.
The ocean.
Well, astronaut Alan Bean said a very definitive statement about
Lake Mead.
of man-made objects.
That is man-made. That wasn't
Salt
there
Lake
until
City.
somebody put up the Hoover Dam.
This, I'm speaking of not just Lake Mead, but in particular, what did you just say, Mark?
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City. One of the problems with the question is what do you consider a man-made object? So an entire city might constitute
Oh
a man-made
yeah,
object.
that's a loophole.
And also, there's other types of constructions like, actually not the pyramids. No one has ever said they could see the pyramids from space. Although it seems like a good guess, so I kind of like your chutzpah.
The light coming out of the Luxor.
Yeah, like
That is quite a light. in Vegas.
Can you think of, besides the loophole of what constitutes a man-made object, there's another built-in loophole in the question itself. What man-made objects
Yeah,
can you
where's
see from
space?
space? Where is space?
Yeah.
What do you mean
Where
by
does it
space?
start? Stratosphere?
Did we get stoned before we started this? I mean, what is space?
Where?
Might be
I don't know.
going
You did go
better.
to your car. I don't know what you did.
That would drive a
To get
stone
some
person crazy.
deodorant.
Where is space? They'd be like,
Whoa.
If by space, for example, you mean the moon, from the moon, when you look back at the Earth, you cannot see any man-made objects. You basically see a big marble with a few
I
natural
assumed
features.
they meant like satellite height orbit.
If you take the current International Space Station as your definition of space, there are no man-made objects you can see from the International Space Station. Not even the lights of cities, I believe. As it turns out, and Dr. Shulman confirmed this, even things like the space station or the moon are actually very, very far away
Yeah.
from the Earth. And
Satellites. Regular satellite height.
yes.
They see all kinds of man-made things. That's kind of their point.
They also have
Telescopes.
telescopes, optical equipment. So the question in
If
question
human
is
eyeballs
yes,
were
unaided
in.
unaided eyes.
Yes. Okay. So what's the answer?
The answer is nothing.
Nothing. Not a single thing.
No man-made objects can be seen from space. If by space you mean like way up there in space. There is one other interesting bit of trivia. I would wonder.
Weather. You can see weather, and we create the weather. We absolutely affect the weather. I'm not finished. The answer is weather.
Okay, you get 15 bonus smarmy points for
All
that
right.
answer.
Damn.
No, I'm done.
Since this is a kind of urban legend that you can see the Great Wall of China from space, but astronauts and other people who have been to space will tell you that you can't see.
Wow, it's a
Any of
cloudy
it.
day.
Yes, clouds is part of it. When you get up there high enough, there's the various layers of the atmosphere. But the main thing is definition. When you get far enough away, you don't have the definition to focus in on objects that small, really.
Resolution is the word you want.
Thank you, resolution, Dr. Scientist.
Sorry.
No, that's what you're invited here for. Where does the urban legend of being able to see, specifically the Great Wall of China, from space come from?
Trivial Pursuit. Isn't that where we started? Wait a minute. I was totally listening. Sorry.
Trivial Pursuit question is a example of wrong Trivial Pursuit answers in the game of Trivial Pursuit, but even they got their
Oh,
wrong
they
answer
were
from somewhere.
victims of something. I see.
Well, they were victims of repeating an urban legend. But what is the source? Can
George
we trace
Clooney.
back? It is, in fact, older than George Clooney.
Genghis Khan.
It is, in fact, I have a
He was
Genghis
like, if
Khan
there's a
file
thing
with
called
me, but I
space.
don't have my Genghis Khan notes directly in front of
I think
me.
actually the Great Wall of China was specifically made to keep Genghis Khan out.
That's why he said that.
You could see this thing from space. I can see that.
I just love that.
This Genghis Khan shaking his fist at it.
What the hell?
It's the greatest thing.
Well, what we now call the Great Wall of China was built in sections over many generations. So parts of it were built during the era of Genghis Khan, and other parts of it were built during other war times or situations.
Or just Khan from King of the Hill.
The current main body of the wall is how long?
It's like 10,000 miles or some crazy number like that.
That's,
10, anyone?
I'm going to
10,000.
say, you're 10,000 miles? I'm going to go with
That sounds almost exactly. Yeah, for some reason that's sounding. Yes.
I'm
Dang.
just going to
I
go
read that from a
different
Trivial Pursuit
because
question,
I'm
which
gonna
is now
say
in question as a source.
It's about 100 yards, right? 10,000.
I don't know. Big.
I don't know. 1,000. I'm going to just say 1,000 so I have a different answer.
Okay, so we have 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles.
I gotta agree with the 10,000 miles. That sounds right.
She's probably right, but I'm
Well, again, there's a certain amount of like debate amongst archaeologists who study these things, but
none of
if
these
you,
questions have real answers.
I forgot my ass kissing.
Don't worry,
hat.
you're still way ahead.
adding up the entire main body of the wall, it's currently estimated at 13,000 miles.
I was
So
really
that was
close.
pretty close. That was pretty close.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's
It's a lot of wall.
That is a lot of wall. And how wide is it?
how wide? I don't know, 10
It's
feet?
really big. Like, I'm picturing it in my head, and you could fit like 5 or 6 cars across.
Is it 5 or 6 cars across wide?
Like, so
you're saying-
60 feet?
We have a vote on 60 feet wide.
That's
I'll go
big.
90 just so
40 or
it's
50
different.
feet.
I'm gonna go 70 feet.
Well, if this was The Price is Right, you'd all be over.
Ah, it's
At
Four
its,
feet.
at its widest sections, it's about 30 feet wide.
Well, wider than a few cars.
And in many sections, it's not that wide, but at its widest sections, it's about 30 feet wide. The myth that you could see the Great Wall of China from space comes from a book written in 1754 by an English historian.
Who had not been to space.
How the hell does he know what he can see?
This mighty wall
It was up in a high tower.
is discernible figure upon the terrestrial globe and may be discerned at the moon, he guessed in 1754.
And people wrote that down over and over and over again, like it was the answer to
Was made
something.
of cheese.
For example,
Also a fact. There's nobody to refute him, so
and cigarettes cause pregnancy.
it's also populated by blue
1932's
piggies.
Ripley's Believe It or Not repeated that legend, and that is probably the source of the urban legend
Ripley.
in the 20th century.
So we were supposed to not believe it.
Correct. I guess that was
Believe
like
it
not believe.
or not.
Boom.
Trivial
Officially
Pursuit.
Mind blown.
All right.
Jack Palance telling lies.
After,
Feels so sexy.
do you know when the earliest parts of the wall were built? This is my final Great Wall of China question, so your last chance to get Great Wall of China points. Approximately when was the oldest sections of the wall, because it was built over different centuries in different situations, but the oldest sections of the wall were begun approximately when?
I do not have the first idea.
We have no idea. Mark?
800 before Common Era.
800 before Comma Era. Mark, what do you think? Sean, got anything better than Mark?
Oh gosh.
When was Genghis Khan?
Bill and
That's right.
Ted's.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
I only remember him from 1987.
That's right. That's it.
when he destroyed the Dick's
Those
Sporting
His
Goods
sporting
store
goods.
with a baseball bat.
Which I
Yeah.
also studied in history class.
Don't complicate matters by asking more questions. We already have one question in front of us we can't answer. We don't need 2 questions
Let's say
in front of us we can't answer.
1,000. You go 800. I'll go 1,000 just so I have an answer. 'Cause I have no idea.
Sean?
I'm also going to say the Qing Dynasty. I have no idea if that's a dynasty or when that was.
I love P.F. Chang, so.
Qing.
Oh,
In 600 BCE.
I was so close.
You
so
were
close.
close. You had like the right
20
direction.
years off. Not a
That's you don't get any points for that, but I'll give you a gold star.
Yay!
It ain't no golden banana, kid, but it's nice.
Well, it gets you through the class.
Appreciate it.
It gives you a taste to get you through the class. After recalculating your grades, the grades are still 5, 6, and 7, but they've been assigned to different people.
Oh,
Damn.
I'm back in the lead.
you actually have 567 points and more zeros.
Oh.
Well, we've looked at history with a smattering of astronomy, and we talked about word origins and trivia. During that, Mark brought up something I wanted to talk about. So let's go right into one of my favorite topics.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
How many words is Shakespeare credited with inventing? You don't have to name them all, but do you know approximately how many?
I'm going to say 1,000.
You got to vote for 1,000.
734.
734.
I'm going to go with 900.
900. Phrase you'll come across is Shakespeare coined more than 500 new words. So
I win.
Nice.
that's close. We could probably all think of some.
Turd.
Didn't he invent
Supposedly.
fuck, I swear to God.
And I know he had like, there's a book
well,
Bill
we
Bryson
gotta-
wrote that's
yeah.
insane about Shakespeare.
When you talk about words coined by Shakespeare, you have to remember that it's the early days of the printing press. So you can't always, like case by case, if a particular word was wholly invented by him or he was the first one to use it in print. So the F word, I think, was already in existence.
Okay.
But I will say the word dildo first
yeah.
appears in print in one of Shakespeare's plays.
That's great.
We discussed this in my other episode.
We did discuss Shakespeare
Shakespeare and dildos.
And dildos.
You're kind
Well,
of hung up.
a little bit.
Okay.
It's so
Which
fascinating.
of Shakespeare's plays involve a dildo? Like, I get it. Is this a dildo I see before me? What? I can't.
That was good. You got the part.
Yeah, you get 20 bonus points. Can anybody insert the word dildo into a more ridiculous Shakespearean quote? Tomorrow,
Alas, poor
the last poor dildo.
Friends, countrymen,
Dildos.
lend me your dildos.
It was like the
I
ending
don't
of
think
Julius
these are
Caesar
right.
I never pictured.
It had to be exciting
All right.
time, though, that it's just like, there's not a word for this.
Let's
I'll
make
just
one.
make one up.
Definitely.
Right now, you all have A's for that, but so now you can only go down. If you were to take all of Shakespeare's plays, about how many words does he use? And this is just the word count, so I think it's counting repeated words. It just means if you count up all the words in Hamlet and all the words in Julius Caesar and all the words in this.
And his
What a
sonnets or
silly
just his
exercise. Who
plays?
cares? That's not
And his
interesting at
sonnets.
all.
It's
Almost
not
a
okay.
million.
We'll skip that. Which of his
You don't have to
which of
skip
his
it.
plays is the longest? Everyone knows this. Which of his plays is the longest?
Whichever one I had to read in 10th grade around March.
It was 12th grade for me.
Let's see.
Which is the longest? I can't deny I thought this was a relatively well-known piece of Shakespeare trivia.
Hamlet?
Henry V?
The winner is Hamlet.
Oh, really?
It is.
The answer is always Hamlet.
Not to this next question.
Oh,
Hamlet.
Hamlet has over 4,000 lines to it. His shortest play has approximately 1,700 lines to it. This is the one that is
Taming
the
the
more
Shrew.
challenging question. Not Taming of the Shrew, but I'll give you a hint. It was one of the comedies. Or
As
is
You
one
Like
of
oh,
the
I'm
comedies.
thinking of a different one, actually. I said that, but I meant something else.
What's the
The
I
one,
hate it
A
when that-
Midsummer Night's
I
Dream.
hate it when that happens.
That's what I meant to say.
Midsummer Night? They open with a play inside of that, right? It's that play.
Taming
one
of the Shrew
inside.
is the one that opens with a play inside of it.
So it's the play inside of Taming
Actually,
of the Shrew.
Midsummer Night's Dream has a play at the end of it. A play within a play at the end of it, actually.
That's the
But
shortest.
Taming of the Shrew is the one that opens with like a different play. that
Yeah.
then
He's
leads
avoiding your question.
But actually, Hamlet has
Answer.
a play within a play as well.
Oh yes,
That's-
it was.
He loved that.
So is the answer one of the plays in a
No.
play? Was that a trick question?
Nope.
About a play
I
in
was
a play?
trying to find the loophole.
Yes,
That's a
you're-
good one.
He's a loophole man. He is a loophole man.
I'm out of comedies.
I don't know. My guess would have went with
Hamlet.
Hamlet the comedy.
Oh, that wacky Hamlet.
Your answers are so full of errors, which is ironic because the answer is Comedy of Errors.
Comedy of errors.
Guessed to be his first play as well.
stole from Christopher Marlowe.
My favorite wine. I have one more piece of Shakespeare trivia for you. So this is your second to last chance to improve your grade. So pay attention.
Yeah, ready.
If you know your theater history, you know that all of Shakespeare's plays were published shortly after his death in a tome called The First Folio. I'll tell you, it was published in 1623. You could buy a copy for £1 British. As you might imagine, nowadays they are rare and valuable. In 2006, one was sold for how much? Anyone know?
Well, first I need to know what currency so that I can convert my
Sure.
answer.
This answer is in U.S. dollars.
Okay. That doesn't
$10 million.
12 million dollars.
10, $12 million. Sean, what do you think of these answers?
I'm gonna say 15 mil.
Well, you guys must really love Shakespeare.
Not that
$4.
much. Nobody bid.
$5 million is the figure that I came across
I
here.
figured some like Fraser Crane motherfucker.
Yeah.
I must have it.
Fraser Crane.
I will say,
That's the most intelligent person you can think of.
yes,
It's not even real.
Not even a real person.
And then Kelsey Grammer isn't even remotely like him.
He's Sideshow Bob.
It's true.
See, I know some
although no one seemed to care, since there may be people listening to this podcast who care, Shakespeare used 880,000 words.
I was going to
across
say that.
all of his-
That's
well,
exactly what I was going to say.
If you had said that rather than mocking me, you would have gotten extra points in your grade.
Man.
Well, we have reached the part of the show where I, your teacher, goes to the grade book and calculates your final grades in order to determine who, in fact, is going to win today's coveted classroom prize, the Golden Banana. But before I do that, you're each given one last opportunity for extra credit. You may use this time to show off whatever knowledge you may have. I wish you all luck, Mr. Lynch.
Wait, what? Random knowledge?
You may say whatever you want that you think will help improve your grade. Saying something clever might...
Jerry Jaffe is a personal hero of mine.
Ding, 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 ding.
He wins?
Well,
I-
it's your job to top that.
I apologize heartfeltly. See, I'm coining words.
How
for my-
Shakespearean of you.
For my mocking of your query regarding how many words Shakespeare used.
I accept your apology.
Let's see. You mean me asking you a question, or just me
I
saying
would,
something that's trivial?
I would prefer you share some intelligent trivia.
Okay, I have some interesting
Yes.
trivia for you. George Lucas's original title for Star Wars.
Yes.
I mean, come on, this is some serious geek trivia here.
Yes.
Was actually, in fact, not called Star Wars. It was called
Geek.
No, it was originally
Geeks.
had a huge long title, which how he even got a meeting with 20th Century Fox is beyond me. It was called From the Journal of the Wills, The Adventures of Luke's Star Killer, Chapter 1, The Star Wars. That's what he led with in his first meeting. They were like,
That's
"All
not
right."
going to fit on a poster.
I can't believe they didn't just go security.
Button.
Wait, we should.
Remove the hippie.
Release the
What
hounds.
crap is a Wookiee? It's a lot bigger than an Ewok security.
You know the first the scene where the droids run in and they jump them and they put on the uniform. I know nothing about
Yes.
Star Wars, but they go in and then he comes out and he pretends his helmet doesn't work or
yeah.
whatever. The name of the droid that goes in and the guy keeps yelling into the speaker, TK421, TK421. Guess what that else TK421 is?
What else is TK421? Dr. Shulman?
I have no idea.
You got it?
Please tell us.
It's Buck from Boogie Nights when he's showing the hi-fi system. He goes, "This is the TK421. Makes you want a freaky deaky, right?"
Which is amazing. You wonder, is that P.T. Anderson or is that just Don Cheadle riffing? Trying to sneak in a little of that Star Wars trivia.
Who catches this stuff?
Mark Riccadonna.
I couldn't get good grades in school, but I could remember any random dumb thing from a movie.
Okay. Well, I could incorporate that into my teaching style, possibly.
And for that observation, Sean Lynch gets a bonus 25 points for bringing it up in the first place.
Nice.
Oh, I contributed nothing.
Oh, man.
And
Star Wars
for your nothing, that puts you in a direct tie with Mark Riccadonna, as Sean Lynch is the winner of today's classroom prize, the Golden Banana.
Lynchy.
And that just leaves it for me, your host, Dr. Jerry Jaffe, to thank you, Mark, Deborah, and Sean for coming to today's class. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ew.
John's going to eat that banana like a toothless monkey.
Gold Star Classroom is written and produced by Jerry Jaffe. Our producer and engineer is Stephen Gutierrez. Original music composed and produced by Jeff Geddert. Mr. Geddert is also our assistant producer. All commentary and opinions expressed by guests of Gold Star Classroom are meant for entertainment purposes only. For Gold Star Classroom, I'm Jerry Jaffe.